The Cuban government says a Russian human trafficking network has been discovered that recruits its citizens to fight on behalf of Vladimir Putin's government in Ukraine, and warns they must cut it. ArrowRight. The Cuban Foreign Ministry's claims seem to reflect unusual tensions with Russia, a historic ally. Putin's government has sought to strengthen ties with the communist-ruled Caribbean island to offset the isolation it experienced after Russia invaded Ukraine last year. The ministry said a statement that Cuba is working to neutralize disperse the human trafficking organization based in Russia, targeting Cubans living both here and their own country, has initiated criminal proceedings against those involved. Cuban law prohibits its citizens from working as mercenaries abroad. No details were given in a statement tweeted by Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodríguez on Monday. However, the report came after the Miami-based Spanish-language television channel Telemundo broadcast story about two 19-year-old Cubans who said they were offered a construction job in Russia and were sent to Russian military unit in Ukraine to do so. One of the couples, Alex Vega, said they were offered $2,200 each and Russian citizenship to clean up the debris and rebuild war-ravaged cities. Given the situation in Cuba, we didn't think twice, he said. The Cuban economy has been crippled by the coronavirus epidemic, lackluster tourism, U.S. criminal sanctions and inefficient policies. The government said inflation could reach 40% this year. Vega told Telemundo that when they arrived in Russia on July 7, the two men were given weapons and military uniforms and sent to Luhansk, a Russian-occupied city in eastern Ukraine. Russia is trying to bolster its military in a war that turns out to be much more difficult than Moscow's planners had envisioned. Putin announced the mobilization hundreds of thousands reservists last fall, forcing many young Russian men to flee or hide. The Cuban Foreign Ministry did not specify whether Russian government was behind recruitment network or whether it was run by an organization such as Wagner Group, which commissioned network to deploy tens of thousands of mercenaries, many whom had been recruited from Russian prisons. I am guessing that Putin administration has more to do with the Wagner Group or some other mercenary group rather than Putin administration itself, said William LeoGrande, a Cuban academic at American University. But it's hard to imagine that the Russian government wouldn't be aware of this. LeoGrande said Cuba's comments reflected genuine concern about the network in Havana. Due to the sensitivity of relations with Russia, they wouldn't have made such a statement if they weren't sure it was real, he said. Retired U.S. diplomat Scott Hamilton said Cuba is particularly alarmed about associations with mercenaries because Cuban government has repeatedly used the term to describe American-funded individuals accused of